I always struggled to make friends at school. I was that weird kid, you know, the one who sits in a corner looking at everyone else having fun, wishing they could join in. But by the time I went to high school, I'd given up on having a social life, and my weekends were spent binge-watching anime on YouTube instead of going to the mall with everyone else. All that changed when a new girl started at my school. She was really cool and outgoing, and everyone wanted to hang with her, so I was stunned when she came over to me and asked my name. I couldn't even answer at first because I was so surprised she wanted to talk to me. She sat next to me at lunch, even though she could have sat with anyone she wanted. We quickly became close friends. We talked so much in class, we get in trouble. And then we continued talking on Snapchat when we went home. I couldn't remember ever being this happy. Everyone needs a good friend, and I had the best. We started going to the mall at the weekend. It was so much fun trying on clothes we were never going to buy, and testing makeup. But then one day, I tried on a top, and my friend told me how cute it looked on me. I really wanted to buy it, but I didn't have any money. She told me I should just stuff it in my bag. I told her stealing was wrong, so we put the top back. But when we went to get a burger afterwards, she gave me the top. She'd stolen it for me. I didn't want to wear the top. Every time I looked at it, I thought how wrong it was to take it. But I didn't want to hurt my friend's feelings. So next time we went to the mall, I put it on. I had to admit it did look good on me. So while we were out, my friend dared me to steal some lip gloss because she liked the color. I didn't want to, but she told me that I owed her for getting me the top. I slipped it into my purse, and then we left the store. My heart was pounding, and I was sweating, thinking that any minute someone would come after us. But nobody did. After that first time, it got easier. Every weekend, my friend and I went to the mall and helped ourselves to whatever we wanted. We became even closer, and I loved being able to have everything all the other kids got. But that changed one day. I just swiped some stuff and went to leave the store, but just as I left, a security guard grabbed me, and my friend ran, leaving me all alone. Oof, it was so humiliating. They called my parents, and I've never seen them so angry. I had to sign some paperwork promising I'd never go back to the store again. I got lucky. They could have called the cops, and it would have been so much worse. My friend said sorry for running out on me, but it was never the same between us. The worst bit was I got into all that trouble, and all I took was a couple of candy bars. Now I'm too afraid to go anywhere near the mall in case I get in trouble and I'm back to sitting on my own again. I wish I just said no when my friend asked me to steal for her.
So me and my boyfriend Eric have been together for 3 years now. But before that, he used to be in an on and off relationship with his childhood sweetheart, Alicia. They would date for a few months and then break up, only to start dating again. It was after yet another breakup that we met. We were at the same party and we got along perfectly. Eric was so funny and he gave me all his attention, which, I guess, made me feel really special. When the party was over, he asked for my number and told me that we should meet next weekend. From there on, it went quick, because just after a few dates, we were already in a relationship. That's when he told me about his ex, Alicia. Eric said she wouldn't be happy about us being together, and that's why he decided to write her a long text explaining to her that it was definitely over between them. At first, I didn't think much about it, but when Eric showed me Alicia's response, I immediately got a bad feeling. She responded with, "Let's just meet one last time," even though she knew that Eric and I were a couple. I mean, I was happy that Eric had shown me the message because it meant I could trust him, but I still felt a bit insecure because they had known each other since kindergarten, while we just met 2 months ago. To make things worse, we all live in a small town, which means that Eric and I often run into her. And whenever we see her, she comes right up to Eric as if I'm not there. She even flirts with him right in front of me, giggling and playing with his hair. It's so annoying. Eric always ignores the flirting, but he'll talk to her for a bit because he doesn't want to make her feel bad. Sometimes he's just too nice. One time, she even crashed our date when we went out for dinner. She suddenly walked into the restaurant and was all up in our faces like, "Hey, how are you doing? Can I sit here? Thanks." She even pulled over a chair and sat down at our table like she owned the place. I don't know how she figured out we were there, but I think she'd been following us. Eric was annoyed with her, but didn't kick her out either. The problem was that she'd already ordered a pizza and a $30 bottle of wine. She said it was to share, so we let her stay, even though she drank most of the wine herself. Dinner was super awkward because no one really talked. The only one who seemed happy was Alicia because she was smiling the whole time for no reason. When it was time to pay the bill, she said she'd forgotten her money at home, and then she batted her eyelids at Eric and asked if he'd pay for her. That's when I completely freaked out and snapped at Eric. "Don't you dare! Let her pay for herself!" Then I quickly paid for Eric and me so we could leave the restaurant ASAP. I was so angry, but I didn't want to be the annoying girl who told her boyfriend who we could be friends with. Eric apologized and said he should have told her to leave right away, but he didn't want to hurt her. When we got home, we quickly made up and it was all good between us again. But then one night we went to a friend's party, and of course Alicia was there too. At first we just avoided her. But while I was talking to a friend, Alicia asked Eric to go with her because she quickly needed his help. He followed her into another room, and that's where she tried to kiss him. Of course Eric wasn't interested, which is why he just pushed her away and stormed out. When he told me what happened, we just left. And on the way home, Eric and I agreed that it would be best if he completely broke off all contact with her. I wish he'd done that much earlier because, of course, I want to be the most important girl in his life. But at least I know now that he's an honest, kind person who cares about others. Unfortunately, this means he also cares about dishonest, shameless ex-girlfriends. But I tell myself that if he cares about someone like her, at least I know he'll care 100 times more about someone like me. So in the end, I'm happy about how everything turned out.
Hey, I'm Mark, and I've always been really smart. That's why school was boring. It was just too easy for me. For example, I never paid attention in class. Instead, I scrolled through my textbook right before a test, and that was enough for me to get straight A's in all my exams. Of course, that sounds great, because who wouldn't want to get easy A's? But there were plenty of moments when I wished I was like everyone else. For example, I never had any friends, because I skipped 6 grades and all my classmates were much older than me. At the same time, I didn't have much in common with kids my own age. Some teachers let me read novels during class, but most of them wanted me to pay attention, even though I knew more about the subject than they did. And they hated it when I corrected them. Everyone always congratulated me on my grades, even though I never worked for them. I liked hearing how great I was, but it would have been better if my teachers had pushed me harder, because I never developed any discipline. When I graduated high school at 12, I could have gone straight to college, but instead I took 2 years off and played video games. Eventually, my parents forced me to go to college, and I chose math as my major. I was still only 14 though, so again, I had no friends. To make things worse, I skipped most of my lectures, because it was easier to read my math textbook on the day before the exam than to listen to the lectures of my professors. So instead of working hard and developing self-discipline, I spent most of my time playing video games. However, I still got 95 to 100% of points each exam. When I graduated valedictorian, I almost felt ashamed of myself, because even though I had a brilliant academic record, I had never put any effort into my studies. I was just lucky I was born smart. And because I've never worked hard in my life, I'm one of the laziest people on this planet. After I graduated university, I thought about becoming a mathematician, but I couldn't be bothered to go through all the interviews. So I moved back home and started gaming again. However, after a few years, my parents got sick of me doing nothing, so they threw me out. Suddenly, I was forced to get a job, and I decided to teach myself programming. I quickly passed an online programming course, and that was enough to get me a job at a tech firm. But I hate it. I'm supposed to work 8 hours a day, but I spend most of my time watching YouTube and surfing the net. I do just enough to hit my targets so I don't get fired, but it's so boring. Even though I make okay money, I know I've let my wife and my whole family down. I had huge potential, and I threw it all away because I never learned the importance of hard work. I mean, I could have discovered a life-saving drug, climbed the corporate ladder, or built my own business. But instead, I was lazy, and now the people I went to college with are all more successful than me, even though I'm more intelligent. I feel like I wasted my life. I constantly look at my friends with envy, and I hate it when they post about their latest promotion of their amazing career. I could have done anything with my life if I'd only worked harder. Because if you're born intelligent, you've been given a big advantage. But that doesn't mean a thing if you don't use it. If you're lazy like me, you still won't be successful. Because if you want to achieve something great, at some point, you'll have to work hard for it. I've been thinking about setting up my own programming company, but I'm intimidated by the amount of work involved. Instead, I have to put up with my manager, Fred. He's a nice guy, but totally incompetent and drives me nuts. His decisions make no sense, and he never listens to my advice. But then, I guess, I'd be an even worse manager than him, because I'd never get anything done. Today, I live a life of regret and resentment, and it's all my fault.
Stacy and I had been best friends pretty much since we were born. Our moms met at an antenatal class and we were born just 2 weeks apart. Stacy was older than me and she sometimes teased me about it, but she was never actually mean. Our moms took us to all the same baby classes and toddler groups. I can't remember a time when Stacy wasn't around. She lived on the next block and we did everything together. When it was time for us to go to high school, Stacy's parents talked about sending her to a different school, but we both begged her not to. We wanted to sit together in class, and if anyone tried to bully one of us, the other would make it stop. Lucky for us, Stacy's parents finally agreed to let us go to the same school, and even though we were put in different classes for some subjects, we spent as much time together as possible. I don't remember when I first realized I had a crush on Stacy. I always thought she was really pretty. She's got long brown hair that almost reaches her waist, and the cutest freckles across her nose. Her eyes are a really unusual green color, and they sparkle when she's excited about something. But just because I thought she was pretty didn't mean I fancied her, right? I do remember when Stacy started talking about boys. There was this one kid in class, Jed, and she was going on and on about how cute he was, how funny he was, how much she wanted him to hang out with us. I didn't really like him. I thought he was a bit of a jerk. But as time went on, all Stacy wanted to talk about was boys. So I pretended I felt the same way. I pretended I liked Jed's friend, Mason, so we could talk about our crushes. It was a stupid thing to do. And then Stacy suggested the 4 of us go to the mall together and asked the 2 boys if they wanted to come. They said yes, but as soon as we got there, she and Jed went off together, leaving me and Mason on our own. He tried to hold my hand at one point, but I wouldn't let him. It was super awkward. And when Jed and Stacy came back, Stacy was acting all dumb and girly, giggling and batting her eyelids at Jed all the time. Later, she told me they made out for a while. She even told me all the details, that Jed had used his tongue and how it made her feel. And I just felt jealous. But there's no way I'm gay. I only feel this way about Stacy, not anyone else. But I can't tell her I like her because she's with Jed. There's no way she'd be interested in me. If I told her how I feel, I'd lose her friendship, and I couldn't bear it if we weren't friends. I can't stop thinking about her, though. When I see her holding Jed's hand, I imagine it's my hand she's holding. I really want to tell her about my crush, but there's no way she likes me that way. I never thought hanging out with my best friend could be so painful and lonely. We used to be able to talk about everything. But now I talk to her less and less, and she spends more and more time with Jed. Stacy's still my best friend, and she doesn't know my biggest secret, and I'll never be able to tell her. I feel like my heart's breaking, but what can I do? I'm not gay. I've just got a crush on my best friend, and it's the worst feeling in the world.